David Benavidez's father does a interview with FightHype.com, and he goes on to talk about David fighting Canelo Alvarez and where they stand and where they sit with it. He also speaks on pretty much fighting everybody else and basically saying they're nothing like the Charlos. They're willing to fight everybody from Morale to Caleb Plant. He talked about fighting Laura, but they couldn't fight Laura because Laura was in a movie. He was in a movie that's coming out. But the interesting thing that he said was, he said that because of Canelo Alvarez's loss to Demetrius Bivol, David Benavidez has gained in popularity. He goes on to say that my son is now more popular and his name is mentioned more because Canelo Alvarez fans have backstabbed him. Now, I spoke on this before about how Canelo Alvarez fans turned on him for Triple G. And this reveals why somebody like Canelo Alvarez don't want to fight these two people, okay? He doesn't want to fight black fighters and he doesn't want to fight Mexican fighters because he doesn't believe his career can stand to lose to either or. And even more Mexican fighters. And this is why. Because if Canelo Alvarez lose to a Mexican fighter, they will now inherit his spot. Everything he has built, the whole hype, the whole VA Mexico and all that other stuff, that Mexican fighter will inherit all that and they will forget about Canelo and throw him away, okay? Canelo Alvarez figured this out when he fought Triple G, because regardless how people want to pretend now, the Mexican fans, a lot of them was majority Triple G and didn't look at Canelo as the real Mexican style boxer, especially after the first fight. That's why Canelo came in the second fight so pissed and walked up on Golovkin like that in the rematch face-off, because his people turned on him. Now, I mentioned this before. This is also coupled with black fighters, because he feel like he lose to a black fighter, you know, that's going to be a big hit to his reputation, because he can't take another Mayweather loss. That's why these two black and brown fighters he tries to avoid at all costs. Now you can understand why he went over there chasing those European white fighters, okay? Not only because he viewed them weak, but he also thinks, well, shit, if I take a loss, which he didn't think he was going to take a loss at all. He think his reputation or his career can stand that. But losing to a Mexican or losing to a black fighter, that's something that Canelo Alvarez is not interested in.
A lot of people, you see what Caleb Plant, if you see that, okay, people are going to get at me at this saying Caleb Plant's bigger star than me, but, you know, he's a white fighter. No disrespect to anybody white, but once Mexican fans see two Mexicans going at it, you know, I'm Mexican Ecuadorian, he's Mexican, I'm 25-0, 23 knockouts, you know, Canelo's Canelo. You know what I mean? That means for an exciting fighter. I think Mexican fans, they love to gravitate, or Latino fans, I'm not going to say Mexican, but Latino fans, because I'm both, they like to gravitate towards that. You know, I have a lot of people that believe in me. There's a lot of people that believe in Canelo. And then once the fight builds up, you know, there's the little thing you like, oh, I don't know who's going to win. Some people think, you know, there's some people pull for me, some people pull for Canelo. That's what makes it exciting. But I feel like me and Canelo would be a bigger fight than Canelo and Caleb Plant. How much did they sell?
I like 800,000, yeah.
I guarantee you me and Canelo will sell more. You know, it's just because it's facts.
You know, and David Benavidez's father also goes on to say, not just Canelo, but they also willing to fight anybody else, the Caleb Plants, the Morales. They said they tried to make a fight with Laura, but Laura was in an up-and-coming movie, and he said he couldn't mention what it was, but that's why he couldn't get that fight, because I know a lot of people be complaining about, oh, David Benavidez haven't fought nobody and whatever and whatnot. He also goes on to say that, you know, we'll fight anybody. We're not like Charlo. You know, we're willing to fight anybody. And he also talks about if Jermell Charlo comes up from 154 to 160, he views Jermell Charlo as the harder fight. Now, like I said, I've always said this before about Canelo Alvarez. He avoids these two type of people for a big reason. And even more than that, this is why he avoids fighting other Mexican fighters. because he know it's not hard to be replaced and his fan base will quickly throw him away. And all this only makes sense, and you know it's true, when you just observe what Canelo's been doing with his career and how he's been moving and the people that he's been fighting. This is why he avoid these two fighters at all costs. He also goes on to say that since Canelo Alvarez has lost to Bivol, people now see that he's not this unstoppable monster like they thought he was, and they're now looking at David Benavidez. And you know it's 100% true, because Canelo Alvarez fans is looking to jump ship, because they now realize, well, you now got to face that Canelo Alvarez veil is lifted up. Everybody sees what he is, and everybody has seen what he's been doing thus far, and they now realize he's been cherry picking on the elite level. And it's to the point that the hardcore Canelo Alvarez fans, Canelo gets criticized from top to bottom for every race, color, creed, and flag on the planet. Because anybody who's honest with boxing can easily observe what Canelo Alvarez is doing and see that he's not doing much. Okay? He's been walking around this boxing industry like a tooth fairy while pretending he's the toughest thing on two legs. And this is the thing. He's been allowed every advantage that any boxer can have in boxing, from scorecards to being able to duck opponents with franchise champion, to being able to invent his own weight class, to be able to take PEDs. He has all the advantages, and he's still cherry picking on the elite level like that. That shows you the limitations of his true talent. That's all it is. But at the same time, you got to understand, boxing did not have any other stars. So in a way, boxing kind of needed a Canelo Alvarez, because there was nobody else to push the sport forward, and we were left with Canelo Alvarez. Well, this is the thing. Now we got plenty other people to replace him and be the front head of boxing, who can lead it legitimately while fighting good fights. Canelo was no longer needed in that way. So that's why his fans is looking to jump ship. That's why David Benavidez's father said what he said, and it's not hard to tell it is true, because I even see Mexican fans now jumping behind David Benavidez, trying to use him as their new weapon or something like that. But this is the thing. We like David Benavidez. David Benavidez really want to fight people, and that's all it's been about in the first place, is watching and getting good fights. You know, but fanboys and fanatics just don't seem to understand that at the end of the day. But that's just really what it's about. But anyways, that's all I got for now. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe. Bruce Van, I'm out.